Have you ever noticed what it's like when you're reading a book and you start to get tired and you start to fall asleep while reading the book? I don't know if you're like me, but that happens all the time because I'm a book reader and I love reading books. And I find it fascinating to have that experience of I'm reading a book, but now I'm no longer reading a book. Sometimes I'll notice, in fact, I was just reading a book, and this is actually why I'm posting this video. I was reading my book, and next thing you know, my head starts going forward, and I notice that instead of being in my body, I'm ahead of myself, and my head starts to lean forward. And then, I try to get back in because I'm really enjoying what I'm reading, and then next thing you know, I'm present, I'm able to read, and then next thing you know, my eyes are having a hard time staying open. And the way I read, how I read a lot is very visual. So when I'm reading words, I'm also seeing the scenery of the book. I know some people, everybody sort of reads a little differently. Um, I know I have like an uncle that he loves the feel of the words, and the sounds of the words. And for me, that's not how I read. It's when I see a word, I have a picture of what it is, and so that's how I perceive things when I'm reading. And so what I notice sometimes, in fact, this was just what happened to me, which is why I'm sort of recording this, is that I noticed I was envisioning what was happening in the book, but I stopped reading it all. In fact, I don't even think I was following the storyline because the story was now in this vision of what was happening. But my eyes were closed and I was sort of in the vision itself. So, um, if that sounds familiar to you, then I'd love to hear your experience of how you read. So, but the reason why I bring this up is today is day 19 of my 90-day challenge, and we are working on the skill builder of inner sanctuary. And what it is, it's all about being in the middle of your head, being present in the moment. And one of the things that I do know with books and reading books is that it's a great escape. At least it is for me. When I read a book, I'm in the book. I'm not in the present moment. I'm not paying attention to my body as much or my surroundings as much because I'm being entertained. At least the types of books that I read when it's not something I'm focused on for, let's say, work. But when I'm like my one of my favorite genres is sci-fi. Love sci-fi because it has nothing to do with reality. It has to do with fantasy, and I just find it fun to read. It's something I've been doing since I was 12. But when I read, I'm no longer in the present. I'm out doing something. And I have no problem with that because it's a choice and it's something that I enjoy doing. However, at the same time, I still find it fascinating is that when I disengage completely from my body and going to sleep is how far, or not even how far, but just that experience of I want to enjoy reading, but I can't. And I had the same experience when I was in college. I mean, I noticed for me, I had to go into a quiet, solitary place to study because it took me a while to really understand how the mechanics of the courses worked. I was in business school. I went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and I noticed that I'd be reading a book and I have to really understand the mechanics of, let's say, algebra or calculus, and I had to figure out how things work. So it wasn't just reading and regurgitating things for me. It's like I had to figure out how it all fit together, and I sort of connect that to I believe that I'm really a visual kinetic learner. Learning through an oratory manner doesn't work for me. Sitting in a classroom, hearing somebody speak never works. I don't retain anything. So for me, it's more of if I can sit and really look and learn through the book, it takes me longer, but at the same time, I just I understand things better. So But anyway, so how does this pertain to today's date and being in the present? Well, one of the things I noticed as I was learning this tool of really owning your inner sanctuary is that it's all about being in the present moment. And so when you're trying to learn, let's say, a new skill, you want to be in the present moment. However, if you're, let's say, relying on the past, or you're paying attention to, uh, you're noticing memories, and you're creating a relationship from those memories to what you're learning today, that's very valuable. I mean, that's reflection. You're learning from your past and you're bringing that learned experience into the present. And that's a good thing as well. However, what happens is that if you stay in the past and you don't come to back to the present, then you sort of get stuck, and that's what we call wounds, and basically we're being stimulated to stay out of the body. And this tool this week is really, well, really all these tools, but this tool specifically is designed to where can I place my attention throughout the day. And we want to be completely in our body, but we also really want to take ownership of our inner sanctuary, because guess what? That's where our brain is. That's where our central nervous system is. And so by taking ownership of this area, we gain more access to these other three layers, really four layers, because including the body. Um, we're learning it. We take more ownership of them because we're more present. And so that's really what I want to have people focus on today, is notice, where are you at? Where's your attention at? And that's what I'm noticing for myself today. Was when I was reading, I'm like, whoa, I'm having a hard time being here. And I went, oh, this is a great example of why we need to meditate. And this is what am going to be doing, is because I'm getting tired, I meditate. So it's like, if I notice like I can't read the book anymore, I just put the book down and I go within, I start using my tools, clear out the unconsciousness, and then I'm able to go back to reading if that's what I want to be doing. So if you're studying or if you're doing work and you're having a hard time being present, stop doing what you're doing, focus on yourself, give yourself permission to meditate for a bit, clear out the unconsciousness, and then you can go back to doing whatever you need to be doing. So that's today's message, and we're going to move forward to the sample meditation, and then I'll give you my conclusions of what I noticed after I'm done. So take care. Here's your meditation sample. We're going to be defining your inner sanctuary at salmon. So enjoy your meditation. Let's set your inner sanctuary at a salmon vibration. Let's put your attention on your head. I'd like you to notice the front of your head and the back side of your head and the right side of your head and the left side of your head. Notice the top or the ceiling of your head, or the bottom or the floor of your head. And just notice that space from all those points that you're paying attention to. And validate that this space is your inner sanctuary. Own this vibration. Notice, what color is it right now? This is yours. And you can be aware of the grounding of that inner sanctuary. Notice that grounding cord that's attached firmly to your inner sanctuary, and it going all the way down to the center of the planet. Notice the length of your inner sanctuary. I should say let's cut that. Notice the length of your grounding cord. Notice the color of your grounding cord. And be aware of gravity. Notice gravity's doing its job. It's keeping your body on the planet, and it's also helping you release foreign energy out of your inner sanctuary. Allow that energy just to be pulled out. Anything that's not you, anything that does not validate you, release it and let it go down your grounding. And let's set the tone for your inner sanctuary at a salmon. And notice that salmon vibration as it starts to radiate out throughout your inner sanctuary. Notice that vibration going to side, front to back, top to bottom. Allow your inner sanctuary just to vibrate at that salmon vibration without effort. And just notice as this vibration is starting to continue to grow, what do you notice? What do you notice on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a mental level, on a spiritual level? As you're setting the tone for your inner sanctuary at this salmon vibration. You can notice the grounding cord. Notice that it's releasing the stuff that's inside your inner sanctuary that doesn't want you to have this vibration, or it just can't have it. The salmon color is also just stirring the pot, releasing other things that shouldn't be in there. Just let all that stuff go. Own your inner sanctuary at salmon. And now I'd like you to create a bubble outside of you. And in this bubble, I'd like you to call back your energy from all the spaces that you've left it. And just watch this bubble grow. And now I'd like you to take this bubble of your energy and bring it right into your inner sanctuary. And just allow your energy to fill up your inner sanctuary. And just notice that salmon color just vibrating more and more as you're bringing your energy into your inner sanctuary. And notice that grounding cord releasing. Well, I'm back. I just finished my meditation. I did about a half hour's worth of work today. And I had a little belch there, sorry. Anyways, it was a really interesting space. Started off with basically noticing that most of my energy was in front of my body. I didn't really have much awareness of the back of my head or even the back of my body when I first started. So it was great to just bring that awareness of my entire body back into the present moment. And then I started with I used the red, I was listening to the red spectrum today. And then from there, I was basically just clearing out the energy. Things were going well. It's like I was clearing out, started with red, just really set the tone inside my cranium itself. Was saying hi to my brain and just parts, and was just really enjoying the fact that I could set the tone for those areas of my inner sanctuary and be grounded, and I was bringing in energy, filling myself up, and it was just becoming more and more present. And then it was interesting because from there, then I started noticing that in the back of my head itself, um, I noticed that it's like, and you don't get into auras until week 6 or week 5. We sort of talk about it, but week 6 is sort of where we really focus on it. But I'm going to mention it here is that in the back of my head, the aura was really tight around my head, and then it actually dipped into my neck. And then it was interesting because so it was into my neck itself, and then it came back out. And I thought that was really interesting because I'm like going, huh, that was part of what was kicking me out of my body was just this energy that was back here. So I was bringing in energy. I started just moving the energy out of that space. I actually used what we'll learn next week, which is basically running energy or letting energy flow through your body. So I was actually using the channels in the back to sort of help clear out that energy that was sort of clogged in my neck, because the neck is your communication space, and so I was clearing that out. And then it was interesting because then, things were going well. I was just continuing to clear out. And then next thing you know, it's like I noticed the audio stopped. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And so I looked at the audio, and then the last track, the audio changed. It was gone. Instead of having the title for the last color, it just said track 1. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Because it always worked before. So for some reason, I guess during I have somebody that actually helps update the website, so I don't have to do it because that's one less thing I have to think about. Well, I guess when he updated the website, that link to the audio track broke, and so it wasn't working. And so, but what I found fascinating was not only was that track broken, because that's energy in itself, because this should be, I mean, it was working and now it's not. But then I started getting to this argument with the person that um, does my updates for my website. Now, the argument was in my space because I wasn't talking to him. But I started noticing this conversation that I was having, and we were getting to a fight, and it was like he was being defensive and then judgmental, and then I was being defensive and I was judgmental. And then I woke up from it. I was like, wow, the audio wasn't playing. So I noticed that I left being in the present moment. I went into this alternative universe where I was now fighting with this person that had nothing to do with reality whatsoever. And I was like, wow, I just found a whole clog of energy in my space that caused me to go into a fight mode over something that really will take me 30 seconds to fix. But that's an example of how easy it is to lose our space, but then to also find it again. And this is one of the reasons why we do this, is to find our space and to realize I just went into an argument that's not real. And yet at the same time, it is real because it was in my body. And now I need to clear it out. So once I recognized that, I turned on the audio again, started at the very beginning because it was the last video audio. And so I started at the very beginning again. I just started clearing out that fighting energy, the energy of, where we're supposed to be in a disagreement and this is a problem. And I just started noticing it's like, oh, and I realized before that when I started doing this exercise today, I was noticing this energy of effort. And it just felt like effort. Even though things were moving well, there was just this subtle tone within me that just said effort. And I was aware of that, so I just said hello to releasing it. But then once I got to that fifth audio, and everything sort of blew up in my space, when I started up again, I noticed I did not have the same level of clarity I did at the beginning. And I was like, wow, okay, this really stirred the pot because now I'm having a harder time being in the present moment. Red was easy at the beginning of this meditation, and now red is not easy. And so that's just an example of what happens with stimulus. When you notice something in your body and you start to clear it out, other things start to happen within you. And then that's what you start to experience is like, wow, it was effortless. Now it's effort. None of that's a problem. It's just an example of what happens when you're working energy, when you're trying to take ownership of your body. And this is, to be honest, the reason why we do this on a daily basis is because on a daily basis, we're always being stimulated. This stuff happens to us all the time. But the more that we take the time to clear out energy and to fill ourselves up with us, the more present we can be and the less reactionary we will be because guess what? We're here versus holding on to all these triggers um, for whatever reason. So it was a great session. In fact, if I haven't mentioned this before, I actually meditate throughout the day. I'll take little snippets here and there. This is a video, so I actually do it longer. But a lot of times, I mean, at least once a day, I may take like a 5 minute break and just meditate because I need to. So it doesn't have to be these long meditations. That's why uh, the skill builders are set at 5 minutes. It's like, can you just take 5 minutes to do the work and then move forward? So when I do these videos, I'm actually doing a longer period of time because um, I'm just showing you what is possible. But 5 minutes, if all you have is 5 minutes, then do 5 minutes. So, anyways, that's for today. I'm gonna go back and I may read my book. I have a bunch of other things I have to do today, but it was an exciting moment to figure out and to notice what is it like to leave my body, come back in, find disruptive stuff within me, and clear it out. And now I can go forth and have some more fun today. So have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime, whenever you're seeing this video. And I will see you on day 20. Take care.